Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. Starting off with wars and rumors of wars. Despite the fact that Hamas was brutally defeated by Israel last month, the terrorist organization is remaining steadfast in its bid to free Palestine. Last Thursday, September 11th, my Red Alert Israel app sounded off with rockets fired on Golan Heights. Then again, the following day, rockets were fired on Kiryat Shmona and Golan Heights, and once more yesterday, more rockets fired on Mawatza Ezorit Hof Eshkolon. So, the ceasefire is still being broken on a regular basis by Hamas. Note, no one is reporting on any of these strikes. And maintaining a necessarily watchful eye, Israel has made it very clear that if the IS starts operating in Jordan, it will not hesitate to act. More than 15,000 foreign fighters, including some 2,000 Westerners, have gone to Syria to join the IS, migrating from more than 80 countries. And a CIA assessment puts the number of ISIS fighters at possibly more than 3 times the previous estimates, something like 31,500 troops. This is due to stronger recruitment efforts since June following battlefield successes, the declaration of a caliphate, greater battlefield activity, and additional intelligence. And while the White House has announced this week that the United States is at war with ISIS, others in D.C. are saying we are not at war with ISIL. Confusing? Yes, it certainly is. The Shiite Hezbollah will soon be joining the fray in the Middle East. The Israeli Defense Force is now making preparations to fight Hezbollah, which has developed new offensive cross-border capabilities alongside its massive arsenal of rockets and missiles. Hezbollah has built an extensive network of tunnels and underground bunkers in southern Lebanon and, together with Iran, instructed Hamas on how to do so in the Gaza Strip. The Shiite group is now planning to send hundreds of terrorists into Israel in any war while targeting the home front with many projectiles. Its focus will be to rain rockets and missiles down on Israel as well as conducting raids. President Vladimir Putin announced on Wednesday, September 10th, that Russia will counter military moves by the U.S. and NATO with an array of new nuclear and conventional weapons, while Iran reiterates, saying that U.S. strikes in Syria will set the Middle East ablaze. Things are ramping up, my friends. Biometrics. Are you ready to have your veins scanned every time you use your bank account? How about a digital tattoo or a microchip implant to unlock your telephone? Barclays has just announced that it's going to become the first major bank in the Western world to use vein scanning technology to control access to bank accounts. And there will be even a biometric reader that customers can plug into their computers at home. And Barclays is not the only one that is moving in this direction. Online retailer Alibaba is going to start using fingerprint scanning in an attempt to make their transactions more secure. Cell phone security is another area of great concern, so Motorola has developed a digital tattoo that will be used to ensure that only the owner of a phone is able to unlock it. Some people are actually implanting themselves with microchips in anticipation of the release of the iPhone 6. Of course, this kind of thing is not new. People have been getting implanted with microchips for years. If you doubt that, just do an internet search for biohackers and see what you find. Matthew 24. We have a respiratory illness that has already sickened more than 1,000 children in 10 states that is likely to become a nationwide problem. More than a dozen cases of the mystery virus called enterovirus D68 have been confirmed in New York State this week. The Ebola virus continues to confound doctors everywhere. There have been more than 4,300 cases and 2,300 deaths over the past 6 months, and a new study projects this virus going airborne, causing another projected 1.2 million deaths in the next 6 months. Iceland's Bardarbunga volcano has been erupting since August 29th, while Indonesian authorities have put the Mount Slamet volcano on the second highest alert level after it had been erupting for days, and erupting 38 times on Thursday, September 11th, spewing lava 5,000 feet into the air, and further, it went into overdrive on Friday, September 12th. Plus, a powerful burst of hot ash and gravel erupted from the rumbling Sutopo Purwo Nugroho volcano. And on Saturday, September 13th, the Mount Lokon volcano on Indonesia's Sulawesi Island erupted 3 times. Here is an old chart only going up to 2008, showing the increase in earthquakes higher than 6.0. When you look at the chart, you can see at the highest point, there were around 36 earthquakes that year over 6.0. That is nothing compared to this year. In 2014, so far, and the year is not even close to being over, we've already had 116 earthquakes 6.0 and above, with 70 of them since the first blood moon this past April. This year will more than quadruple the number of large earthquakes from the highest year of the last decade. Also, we're hearing about major droughts, as in California. We are living during the birth pangs of the coming Messiah. Since the first blood moon in April, terror attacks in Jerusalem have been growing exponentially. If you haven't yet seen my video about the Seventh Shmittah, you can click the link at the end of this video. You need to get this information now, my friends. Turning to America. In his primetime speech to the nation on the eve of the 13th anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks, President Obama vowed to, quote, degrade and destroy the Islamic State insurgency in Iraq and Syria with airstrikes and 475 U.S. boots on the ground. Really? 475 troops? That's it? And he also made a particularly strange point, saying that the ISIL is not Islamic, nor is it a state. I don't understand why he keeps referring to the IS as the ISIL. That's an older term they're not using anymore. I guess he doesn't know that ISIL is more appropriately termed the Islamic State. What state was that? Oh yeah, the Islamic State. Check. I guess maybe he didn't get that memo. And I guess he also missed that point about all those families in Iraq who were given the choice to either worship Islam's Allah or be beheaded. Pastor J.D. Farag's prophecy update from Hawaii last Sunday contains some very powerful and detailed information about the IS, which I strongly urge you to watch. And I'll have a link to Pastor JD's video for you at the end of this video. Please check it out. Turning to the economy, America's global economic dominance has been declining since 1998, well before the global financial crisis. And China has begun to return to the position in the global economy which it occupied for millennia before the Industrial Revolution. One look at this chart, and it's pretty clear that it may not be very long before we start saying that the United States is number 2. Homosexuality. As the sin of homosexuality becomes more of an accepted behavior in American culture, satellite television provider DirecTV and drugstore giant CVS have become the latest to join the bandwagon of major corporations pushing homosexuality in marketing campaigns. In a commercial titled Rivalry, DirecTV uses 2 men who state that they are just like any couple to promote the provider's NFL Sunday ticket. Can you see the burgeoning emergence of the tribulation coming on the scene, my friends? Have you watched my word study on the Shmittah yet? I know I mentioned it before. I'm mentioning it again. I posted it last Thursday. There's going to be a link at the end of this video about the Seventh Shmittah. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Turning to the Islamic State. Islamic State militants have released footage showing the beheading of British hostage David Haines. The executioner was Jihadi John. For more about this guy, see my September 2nd newscast at the 15-minute mark. The 44-year-old David Haines is the man who appeared at the end of the video showing the beheading of U.S. journalist Steven Sotloff earlier this month. Jihadi John warned that a taxi driver from Greater Manchester, 47-year-old Alan Henning, would be the next person to be beheaded. In America last week, a Muslim terrorist murdered a teenager in New Jersey for being American. The terrorist used the same murder weapon on his bloody crusade, killing at least 4 Americans over the course of approximately 2 months, and all under the single scheme of exacting vengeance against the United States government for its foreign policies. Radio host Todd Pettengill of The Todd Show on WPLJ in New York City spoke for 8 minutes on the air about the death of the 19-year-old New Jersey resident, Brendan Tevlin, and recounted the declaration made by the terrorist, 29-year-old Ali Muhammad Brown, that the attack was a just kill. Pettengill questioned why the authorities didn't let people know there was a terrorist on the loose. Quote, "Domestic terrorism is already on the loose," he said, "and we need to talk about it." And that's the news for this week, my friends. May you be safe. Till next week, Abba willing, shalom, my friends.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.